All right, what's up? Welcome to the Get Optimized podcast. We are into our CBC preview series, which is super fun because we're having guests on the show that are going to be actually with us at CBC, exhibiting in our same space. We're calling that space the Profit and Ops Center because we have lots of resources to help you increase profits and reduce costs and just make your operation run more smoothly. And one of those things that helps your operation run is your menu boards and your live tap list. And that's why Grant is here. Grant Pierce from Live Tap List is here to join us and talk about this stuff in CBC. Grant, what's up, dude? Thanks for being here, man.
Hey, Chris, really happy to be on here. Thanks for having me and really, excited to have the opportunity to talk to your listeners about CBC and excited to spend some time with you in Indianapolis this year.
It's going to be rad, dude. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to learn about your company more so. I think it's a really cool thing. And I'm got questions loaded for you today and then to get your thoughts on CBC as well. For those that don't know you, right, or don't know about Live Tap List, give us the rundown, man. Who are you? What's the company about?
Yeah, just really quickly. My name is Grant Pierce. I am a software engineer by trade. So, I've been working for about 15 years writing software for small companies, large companies, everything in between. A lot of different types of experiences and seen a lot of different types of businesses. Um, I went to business school, got my MBA, and started a freelance website company. That was probably about 7 years ago or so. And through, building websites for different clients, that's kind of how I got introduced into the craft beer space. One of my clients is actually my brother. He started a brewery in 2021 in Stockton, Illinois, Mud Run Beer Company. I built his website. And when you're starting a brewery, a lot of your listeners probably know this, there's a million decisions to make. You're making 100 different decisions today. You need a website. You need to pick flooring. You need to pick tap handles. You need to just do a million different things. Some of those decisions he made when he was first starting his brewery was around his menus. And he didn't just make one decision. He made three or four decisions. He said, "I'm going to put my uh, TV menus on a Google slide. I'm going to print out a Google Doc of menus to print out and show to people. And I'm going to have my website on Squarespace with my menu on there." So, it's a lot of different places to manage your menu. And after a few months of trying to get that to work, he said, "This isn't working." He kind of talked to me about it and said, "How can we do this?" He is managing all of his drink information in like a Google spreadsheet, but he's copying and pasting everything over to all those different locations. And
So a birth from a relationship with your brother, man. That's awesome. I have two younger brothers and we're still very close. And uh, we've done different projects throughout the years, nothing really for business or whatnot, but it's fun to work with your siblings and make that happen. I'm glad you guys made something work from a business perspective where you learn from each other in that regard, man. So that's rad.
yeah, absolutely. He's been a mentor to me throughout my life. He's 12 years older than me. So I actually worked for him. He was an electrician before that. I worked for him when I was in high school. So really good relationship, and it's really easy to have that. Like he tells me what he needs, and we work it out together. I also think that that same sort of relationship happens with every brewery that I work with. We kind of get connected and figure out this is what you need. And if you're honest with me, maybe my product doesn't do that for you right now, but we can build it and make it work for you.
I think that's relevant, in the time I've spent kind of poking around the menu board thing. Because
Hmm.
we have clients that ask for that. And there's different companies that do this stuff, but like, man, like trying to figure out because everybody's got different technology, right? You got Samsung TV, you got a different kind of TV,
Hmm.
you have a monitor, you're in the Google universe, you're in the Microsoft universe for cloud docs and all these things. And like it has to be we'll call it fun maybe for you to try to figure
Yeah,
out all this back end stuff and make it work. But you need someone to work with you to be flexible because everybody's got different stuff, right?
absolutely. Yeah. So everything's different, and we want to be, a central place for you to manage everything. But I think there's like kind of an old joke. You have three different ways of doing something. You want to create one way to rule them all. Well, now you have four different ways of doing something. So I really try not to be that like extra way. And I think integrations plays a big part of that. There's some clients who um, use my tool and integrate it into other tools that they already have, just to keep me from being one extra thing for them to manage.
Right on, man. So CBC has to be an exciting opportunity for you. Get a chance to see a lot of folks, talk to a lot of folks. And are you guys going to do like a board up there too? So you're going to be able to show, your system and stuff like that. That seems like a natural thing, and kind of a cool way
Yeah.
to have an expo space, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think trade shows, expo spaces are really beneficial for me and for potential customers to come up and actually just get to see it. It's an attention drawer to see. I generally have two TVs, one oriented vertically up and down, and one kind of horizontal. I have one that rotates images along with the menu. Just really try to give that variety for people to see. So walking by my booth, you'll kind of recognize it right away as, oh yeah, I understand what that is. And then if you stop and chat, I'll show you different things that it can do. And I think what people are usually most impressed by, the TVs, draw the attention, but um, being able to see the different flexibility, how we can make it look like your brand, but then also how fast everything updates and how simple everything is to update. Because that's the real kicker. You can set it up and design it right, but day to day, how much time is this going to take away from you? And it's really, really slick, really fast, and you can do it from anywhere. So I
It's the
think
perfect
that comes through.
opportunity. It's the perfect opportunity because, again, speaking from my own experience and trying to source this stuff for clients, and every website you look at that does something like this, like, oh yeah, it's going to be perfect. Everything's going to be
Hmm.
great. And then you start trying to actually work through the back end systems and you're like, this is not great. There's some kind of
Right.
problem with this. It doesn't work with the images I have. Or they're like, oh, by the way, you need to pay extra to be able to do this one thing. And you're like,
Yep.
gosh dang it, now I'm frustrated. I need some kind of Raspberry Pi thing that I have no idea what
Right.
all this stuff. But like, so seeing it live and seeing how this stuff actually functions,
Hmm.
like, I guess you call it like in a demo environment, is
Absolutely.
dope, dude. It's the perfect way to experience it and get a feel for it actually working with your operation.
Yeah, I like to say like on the internet, I Live Tap List is just one of many, one of many other software solution that is just trying that it appears is just trying to sell you something that you don't really need, and that's fine if you don't need it. That's totally great. Once you're on the floor and you see it, and you're somebody who you could see the benefit and value, that's who I want to talk to, um, because I think the other part of it is my product's not perfect. No product is ever perfect, and it's not going to be a perfect match for you. Every business is different. What I think that we can both benefit from is a relationship that we form, especially on a trade show floor, is you've made a connection. You know that I know how I can listen to you and I can understand your business. And if things need to change or you need support, that's me. And I'm here and I'm a real person and I'm the developer who created it. We can get this done. So I think I instill a lot of confidence after talking to people that way.
Yeah, I'm curious, within breweries, you got a few different people that uh have to make decisions and work with different stuff. You got somebody who's in the back end handling the brewery equipment, someone in the front end handling POS and that kind of stuff. You got managers and those
Hmm.
folks. Who ends up working with you most closely with this stuff? Like, what node of the brewery ends up being your main,
Yeah.
uh what do you call it, liaison or
Yeah.
point of contact, or who operates this kind of thing in the tap room?
Yeah, so taproom managers are generally the decision makers that I'm working with the most. They're the ones who kind of understand all the operations of this is what we're trying to this is what we're trying to sell, this is what we're trying to promote, and this is what kind of we have in stock, and this is what our brand image is, the vibe that they're trying to go for in the tap room. So I think that's kind of like the one if I had to pick one point. And then another one is anybody who's doing marketing, event managers, and like graphic designers and things like that. I end up working with a lot. There's so much opportunity on these TV boards to market. Once these customers are in your tap room or looking at your website, then they're already people who are so close to either being already customers, you want to be able to communicate to them, this is what we have, advertise this is a special, so they're ordering more, tell them events they're having so they come back. There's just so much opportunity. You have this kind of captive market in your tap rooms and on your websites, and if you really strategize, you can use this as a tool to just grow that.
It 100% is a tool for that. A cornerstone of what we do with our marketing is fuel or hand over assets that go up in the tap room.
Hmm.
And you can get really creative with this stuff. Of course, you can have a little like a just a straight up ad saying, "Hey, we've got an event coming up this Friday," but like you can put a QR code on that thing. They can come
Hmm.
into the event registration portal at that point. You can
Yeah.
promote beer, you can promote specials, you can promote your mug club. And with the
Hmm.
right technology, this stuff can kind of cycle and be pretty easy for you to manage on the back end, which is fun and neat. But I'm in favor of that, dude. The digital board is a
Hmm.
nice place to run ads for your own stuff. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I really like it. The stuff that I see that I get excited about is when people really target it, uh, even in different spaces throughout the tap room. So when you're at the bar, this is the information you need to know about ordering. Maybe some educational stuff about this is what color it is, this is what style it is. That's what you need to know. When you're over by the cash register and you're kind of checking out, this is the to-go menu. So maybe another smaller TV over there. And then while you're dining or drinking in at your table, there's maybe other TVs on the wall that say that, hey, there's dessert specials, there's food specials, come back for trivia. So
that
yeah,
is rad, man. I didn't even think about that. Depending on how your tap room's set up, you're gonna want
yeah,
a different view and maybe even different messaging in that zone.
exactly.
uh, for different folks in different environments. And that's smart, man. I didn't even think about that. Now
Hmm.
you're making me think. I'm like, dang, we should be thinking about that stuff too.
Yeah. And this is all stuff that I've learned from my customers. So, Raised Grain Brewing is part of the Wisconsin Brewers Guild. When I first kind of came out with Live Tap List, that was my first event I went to, 3 years ago, and they were so kind when I had like this first version. They came up and they said, does it do this, 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 this? Because that's what we need. And I said, no, it doesn't. Not even close, not yet. And then they said, well, how about you like come let us try it in our tap room for a weekend and then we'll give you some feedback. And it was just like the greatest gift that they ever could have given me. Because through all that feedback back, I just had a list of features and things that everybody would need. And they had a lot of great opinions of how they would use something like that if it had the features they needed. So 2 years later, they are a customer, but it didn't start that way. And that's how I learn from everybody that kind of interacts with me at these events. So that's what I'm really most looking forward to.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, man. What are you excited about? Well, let's start with this. Have you been to CBC before?
Yes, I have been. This will be my third one going
Okay.
to. So I went actually with the Beverage Federation with Dan.
Hmm.
I was there a couple of years ago. He got a booth and just kind of had like a guest pass, and I hung out there, handed out some flyers and things, and kind of helped him out. And it was great to just kind of experience it that way without being too overwhelmed. So that was kind of year one. Um, the best part about that one was just all like the after show, after hours types events and just talking to people in those smaller settings, while you're
Was
throwing
that
darts
Nashville?
or
Did I miss
that would have
that?
been Nashville.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been Nashville. Yeah.
Nashville
Yeah,
was
so
my
that one
first
was
one
really
too,
great.
man. That's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you live in Vegas?
I live in Vegas, yes.
Is Yeah, so then I was at Vegas last year. I had a different arrangement. So through some of my integration conversations, my biggest kind of push is integrating with point of sale services. So right now we integrate with Square, GoTab, Clover, and working on Heartland. But arrived as like that first conversation that I had in integrating with a craft beer um, POS because obviously they're a big name, have really big supporters of the community. So through conversations with them, they serve beer at their booth at CBC, and I said, "Hey, do you want to run a menu at your booth and kind of, show people your brand and use the marketing space to kind of market what you're doing here at the show and stuff like that." So that was a really good partnership for us to kind of get together. So I hung out in their booth and had their menu running or ran their menu for that show, and that got a lot of traction of just people coming by and being able to see it in action. So that was really good. And now this year I'm going with my a booth of my own and excited about that opportunity as well.
It is going to be exciting, man. That's such a cool story, dude. You got to kind of live demo it with Arrived, and a
Hmm.
great partner to partner with in Vegas, and now we're headed to Indianapolis. Have you been to Indianapolis before? You're up in the Midwest, kind of. You maybe been there.
Close. I haven't. I've driven around it several times. I've really wanted to go. I think a couple of years ago, I said if the Wisconsin football team makes the Big Ten championship, I'm going to Indianapolis because they have that at Lucas Oil Stadium every year. But they did not, and so I did not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we're filled with a bunch of Indianapolis rookies. I think maybe one or two of us have been before, and the person I can't remember who it was that they were there before had only been there a handful of times, and it was a long time ago. So I'm like, man, we got to figure out who's been there so we can ask questions like, all right, where should we go eat? What's going to be
yeah,
good? I'm sure there's going to be plenty of brewery events and all that kind of stuff. We're going to see some of the best, which always happens at CBC, but I'm excited to check out some of the other stuff too.
well, I listened to your episode with Ross from Tapwise, and you were talking about what's the food of Indianapolis. Did you figure that out yet?
No, we have no idea what the food of Indianapolis is. So somebody please tell us because I want to know if it's like burgers or baked potatoes or what. I don't know what it is, but we got to figure it out.
I looked it up. I looked it up. I had to know. I had to come with something.
Oh, okay.
It's the pork tenderloin sandwich. And so
Oh,
we're
dude,
gonna,
I'm in on that. I
yep,
love
we're gonna
that kind of
see.
thing. All right. Well, now we're on a mission now. We're going to find pork tenderloin sandwiches and scope it out. That sounds bomb, dude. I love like pulled pork barbecue sandwiches and stuff. It's like
Oh
one of my
yeah.
favorite things. So this is going to be good too.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Give us something to look forward to.
it's going to be good, man. So you've been to CBC a few times, and the
Yeah.
industry has kind of evolved is maybe
Yeah.
the word since
Hmm.
Nashville. 2024 was a weird year. Everyone's kind of talking about last year was kind of like RTDs and maybe a little bit alternative drinks, and now
Hmm.
we've kind of made it through this year of like a little bit of shrinkage in the industry with breweries and
Yep.
stuff. I'm curious, what your crystal ball take is on what CBC is going to be like this year. What's going to come out of it? What are going to be the trends? What do you think people are going to be talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously we're gonna find out. I think with budgets getting tighter, with we've seen closures, we've seen layoffs, we've seen a lot of stuff, and this has been going on kind of slowly, and I'm sure it's going to continue at some capacity. So whenever there's kind of like uncertainty like that, there's also a lot of opportunity. And I think that what we're going to see is people kind of either ready to take on that opportunity to make some sort of change in their business, whether that's with a new product or with new operations, with new efficiencies. We're going to see people who have a plan and want to find solutions for their business. So I'm really excited to talk to people who have that plan and are ready to make a change for the better. Um, I'll use an example, like especially with like acquisitions and closures and things like that. The Explorium Brew Pub is in Milwaukee. They just acquired several locations from Good City Brewing earlier this year, and they signed on with me in January, right around the same time as the acquisition. And I was able to kind of be a partner for them in finding ways to be more efficient and manage all of these different locations. They went from 2 locations to 6 locations overnight. And now they have to manage all that and kind of keep a consistent brand and operate it with their staff. So we're able to kind of help them like, okay, you have these 6 different locations that you're all managing, what things are shared, what things aren't. You've got employees who are employees of these locations that they want access to, but not these others. So um, ways that we can use these tools to either take advantage of these opportunities of closures, acquisitions, and or even the simplest thing is save money and save time to focus on some of the other projects. So I think we're going to see a lot of people focused and ready to make changes for the better.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the approach we take with it. I mean, industries are gonna ebb and flow, and there's always going to be challenges, whether it's tariffs and weird stuff like that happening right now, or
Hmm.
challenges of uh, there being tons of demand and trying to be able to scale appropriately and not overhedge your risk, which is kind of like what was going on several years ago as the industry was
Hmm.
growing. but you got to approach it from a perspective of like, all right, let's find solutions that can help us run what we need to run right now and be
Hmm.
better at what we do and be more efficient at
Yeah.
what we do. And I see, what you guys do as a tool to help create some of that efficiency, whether it's
Yeah.
getting people to buy more stuff in the tap room, saving costs, and not, I mean,
Hmm.
imagine all the printing you have to do throughout the year
Oh
if you
yeah.
don't have to do that with your screens and things and all that stuff. So totally see the parallels with that. And I love what you said. In fact, I wrote it down. It might be the title of the episode here is finding solutions for your business because that is a great theme to come into here. It's something that Dan said on his podcast a few podcasts
Hmm.
ago was, there's so many people that already have equipment. They've already got their brewery stuff. They got their tanks and all that kind of stuff. And they might overlook CBC because like, oh, I already got all that stuff. I got my main suppliers, whatever, I'm good. But there's so much more down the road of finding solutions
Hmm.
that I encourage everybody. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, don't
Yeah.
skip it because there's just so much there, like live tapless and
Yeah.
folks that can help you on the financial side to create efficiency, so on and so forth. Man, I think you probably agree with that too. Is that there's lots more than just supplies and cans and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. For sure. Use it as an opportunity to revisit those thousand decisions you made when you opened your brewery and see which ones, you would make differently if you were to approach it today.
1,000 decisions, man. Only 1,000? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, right. That week. Yeah.
Right on, dude. So another question I have for you, because you are becoming a CBC veteran here. Me
Sure.
too, man. Only 3 years. Okay, I don't know if we can call ourselves veterans quite yet, but what advice would you have for somebody who's maybe making their first trek out to CBC in Indianapolis?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's always good to have a plan, take a look at the list of who you want to see, and kind of make a point of stopping by and walking by. Uh, but I know this happened to me when I first walked in there. The plan a little bit goes out the window once you see how big it is and how many people are there. We'll see if we see that same scale, but I know it's going to be overwhelming for people who haven't been there. It certainly was for me. For sure, be open to having conversations with people just when things catch your eye. I have people who seek me out at shows like this and say, "Yes, I saw you were going to be here. I wanted to learn more about it." But then a lot of people are just like, they see a bright screen and they're kind of drawn in, and we'll chat for a second. Be open to that because I'll show you some things that are going to be useful for you. But it's also okay to say, "Hey, what's this?" Okay, talk about it for a second and say, okay, I'm going to move on. That's all right. Your time is valuable and you've got a lot of booths to see. So be open, but it's also okay to just say like, this isn't for me. So be ready to move on as well. So,
It's okay to do that. That's why we're all here. I always say like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so take
hmm
the shot, see what's good. That's why we're here as exhibitors is to talk and answer questions and make relationships happen.
hmm
And I like that, man. It's okay to be like, nah, not for me. But if you don't ask, then how are you ever going to know for real?
Yep.
So that's a good piece of advice, dude, for sure. And I cope with you, man. When I walked into Nashville, literally had no idea what I was doing. I showed up the second day and like I just flew in, got in my hotel, went right to the show, and I walked into the expo space and I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
The biggest show I've ever been to as a professional. I've done other shows and stuff, but I was blown away. Vegas, I knew kind of what I was walking into, but Indianapolis, I'm kind of curious, man, to see what the space is like and how it's going to be set up and all those things. So I'm vibing with you, man. It's going to be a cool show.
Yeah.
What else have I got here for you, man? So, another thing that actually, this is a good question for you.
hmm
Is strategic relationships. I think that's a big part of doing the expo. It's yeah, there's that
Yeah.
customer you want to have, like you want to have the brewery in the tap room, right? But there's probably side or horizontal relationships that you want to maybe forge. If
hmm
anybody is maybe one of these folks is listening to this show, is
Yeah.
there a kind of partnership, a strategic partnership you're looking for or have your eyes on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I approach it from two different ways. One is I think, a direct and obvious way, which is integrating with other software platforms. So that those are relationships that I want to make, and those are kind of easy to explain and understand and see immediate results from. GoTab is one where I kind of met them on trade show floors and really got to understanding what type of clientele they have and what they're looking for and what their customers might need. So those are kind of easy ones for us to make those connections. But then the other ones that are maybe even more beneficial are just like other service providers, marketing companies, anybody else who's just kind of dealing with the same type of clients that I am, and not even saying like, "Hey, please refer people to me." Just getting to know people, putting a friendly face, learning about what they do and who they work with, and getting a chance for them to get to know me because um, next time they're having a conversation with a brewery and their brewery is looking for some solution to solve, their digital signage solution or save time with menus or save money by switching from their existing menu platform, they'll say, "Hey, here's this person, Grant, live tap list. He's nice. He listens. He's able to work with you." That's a good relationship that you can have. So those are the types of relationships that I look to form at these events.
I might have a marketing agency that you should talk to.
Yeah, yeah. We should connect, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Exactly.
we'll be near each other or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, for those folks that maybe do want to connect with you, or they're like, yeah, I need to stop by and say what's up to Grant, or maybe want to set aside some time to deep dive with you at the show.
Yep.
Are you setting up appointments, or is there a way for them to connect with you ahead of the show to maybe set something up?
Yeah, I am. So if you go to my website, livetaplist.com, you'll see you've got a couple of different options. If you want to just send me a message real quick, you can contact me from there. If you want to set up like a 30-minute demo before the show, we can have a virtual call and do that. But then you can also there's a link there to set up I'm doing quick demos, so get your slot to set aside some time and come to the booth, and I'll do a quick demo there for about 15 minutes or less, and just kind of show you. So that's on my website, and you'll be able to reserve your slot, and I'll be there ready for you.
I highly recommend doing it. Put something on the calendar and go see this stuff live. As I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's so much back end that you're like, is this actually going to work for me or not?
Hmm.
Grant's going to show you if this is going to how this stuff works. You get a real feel for it, and what better place to do it than with a beer in your hand, hanging out
Hmm.
at CBC. Hopefully, not too hungover and all those things. So
Right.
um, yeah, so real quick plug for our booth before we head out of here. We're going to be booth number 1125. I forget who we're next to, but just look for 1125. You can find us, Beverage Federation, Get Optimized, Live Tap List. You search in there, you'll find us. We're calling ourselves the Profit and Ops Center, and we're going to hang out with you guys at CBC here in a few weeks. Grant, thanks, man, for hanging out. This was very educational. I can't wait to say what's up in Indy.
Absolutely. Thanks for being a great host, Chris. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. See ya.